Hi again and welcome to the English for Beginners. This is me, Barial. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the semi-modal auxiliary verbs, would prefer and would rather. Keep in mind that both of them are semi-modal auxiliary verb, but they function differently. They have got different places to use. So let's get started from the would prefer. Would prefer is a semi-modal auxiliary verb, and it could be followed by infinitive in noun. But the difference between would prefer and would rather is would rather is used for only verbs. It's only followed by verb, but would prefer is followed by both infinitive and noun, but not verb. So let's talk about would prefer. As I mentioned, it is followed by infinitive in noun. For infinitive, we use rather than, but for noun, we use only to. For example, he would prefer to play rather than write. Okay? Or I would prefer to record myself rather than stop. Okay? So, what about noun? If you want to use for noun, exactly the meaning of preference, it means the desire or the favorite thing you like more than something else, and in this case we use these semi-modal auxiliary verbs. What about nouns? If you want to use for nouns, if you like something more than something else, you could say I would prefer the car to bike, or I would prefer car to bike. I would prefer iPhone to Oppo. Exactly, everybody likes it. And if you want to use would rather is followed only by verb, and in this case we only use than for verbs. For example, I would rather die than beg. He would rather study than stop or pause. He'd rather drink than eat. I'd rather swim than play, because I like swimming. And also, let's talk about had better a bit. Had better is also a semi-modal auxiliary verb, but had better cannot be used as interrogative sentence. In an interrogative sentence, you cannot use had better. Had better shows advice and obligation. For example, you want to advise somebody, perhaps he's your friend or your class pair or classmate, whoever. You want to tell him something as advice. You should is also used for advice, but had better is better. Had better is a kind of semi-modal auxiliary verb. If you advise somebody, you tell him, for example, you had better study, okay? You had better visit your relatives, you had better take care of your family. If the person does not do the action, something bad may happen. Had better is used for that case, okay? And keep in mind that had better is not used in interrogative sentence. It can be used in negative statement. For example, you had not better study a lot, because you'll get bored, you'll lose your interest, you'll be stressful. And had better is the same like would rather, would prefer. As I mentioned, they function differently, okay? So it's all about these semi-modal auxiliary verbs. I hope you enjoyed this video and learning something from this video, and for the next time I'm gonna take a look at the other semi-modal auxiliary verbs. But it's all for today. That's enough. See you next time. Bye bye.